back on the Morning Brew with Friends with Lisa Kudala and Ravi, let's see if I get this, Durvasula.
Correct.
And this is interesting because Lisa's the head of economic development and the director of STC at UNM.
Right.
And you wear like 17 other hats, I think, at UNM. But you're with internal medicine.
Yes, correct.
And so where does internal medicine kind of intersect with economic development and patents and everything at UNM?
Well, I think the labs are always the pipeline for ideas and new innovations that come out of the research labs. So internal medicine as a department is a pretty research-focused, intensive department.
It's not just a practicing medicine department.
No, we have a lot of faculty who are engaged in both, both the lab work and the clinical work. But it's really a great way to get good ideas out there. And we partner very closely with STC on trying to bring the ideas out to the marketplace, find partners and angel investors and other areas like that.
Very cool. And there have been companies that came out of your department too, right?
We've had several, yes.
Very cool. And Lisa, the big event coming up is on the 26th, and that's kind of the culmination of all of this stuff together, right?
It really is, and it's kind of taking New Mexico to another level because what we're doing is partnering with New Mexico State, New Mexico Tech, AFRL, Sandia, and Los Alamos to showcase New Mexico's science and technology assets and our startups all together.
Very cool. And it's a night of pitches of a lot of these companies, right?
There's actually two different events. The evening before the showcase is
on the 25th.
On the 25th is a student pitch competition at Bow and Arrow Brewing Company. So that'll be a
the new
fun.
Bow and Arrow.
Yeah, that's
the new
great.
Bow and Arrow is beautiful building. Beautiful building.
Fantastic. So we're really happy to have the event there. And the next day at Balloon Fiesta Museum, we have the actual showcase itself, where there will be faculty like Ravi and others from the different institutions, as well as our startup companies with tables.
Very cool. And some of the startup companies, you give me a list here, there's a lot of fun ones. A lot I've never heard of. Optipulse, and there's BioSafe Technologies and Zocere, and they all sound super techy and interesting. What are these companies doing? Are they finding technology and patents from STC and just taking them out into the real world?
Yeah, most of these are UNM spin-off companies.
Okay.
So over the last 10 years, we've spun off about 100 and a little over 100 companies. 60% of them are still in business. And these companies are based on medicine, pharmacy, engineering, materials, technologies coming from the university.
Very cool. This is folks like Ravi who are developing these things, and then your office is the one that helps them take these things into the real world, essentially.
Right. We help network them with entrepreneurs who have experience in this space, as well as investors and everything else it takes to get a company off the ground.
Very cool. And Robert, what does this mean for your professors and your faculty? Does this give them like one more incentive to kind of get a patent out there, one more incentive to work a little bit harder and do something interesting?
I mean, it's a great opportunity for people to do a couple of things. I think one, help the university in moving technologies out.
Right. Because UNM can make money on these technologies, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And there's, that's actually an important priority. And a second thing is, it's, for people doing research now, it gets harder and harder to go through the traditional approaches like NIH and the grant funding agencies.
Right.
It can take years to get a major grant funded.
Right.
Whereas if there are pathways to move things forward, quickly, in partnership with the private sector and entrepreneurs, I think it's a great idea. And the other area is that, a lot of the people, especially people who are in medical schools, are focused on what's called translation. So the idea is to try to find something that can be used quickly
in the real world.
In the real world to help people.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes the pathway through a commercial venture where that's their priority as well is wonderful. You can actually get things out there faster. It may not be 10 years before you make a difference.
Right.
So I think there's lots of natural partnerships.
Very cool.
And speaking of Ravi's area of research, you might ask him
Yeah,
about the technology he's going to pitch, because it's very, very relevant to today's
What are you pitching?
problems.
Well, so we have a technique to go after the mosquitoes that transmit Zika.
That's huge right now.
Yeah, and
Very
it's
cool.
become, we started doing some work about a year and a half ago in my lab And at that time,
At that time, did you know that Zika was a thing?
well, actually, we were focused on dengue virus, which is
course.
a different, global problem. We're also focused on West Nile virus, which is a problem right here in Albuquerque and in Texas. And then Zika really, sort of took over in
The
about
discussion,
Yeah,
really.
the start of the new year, it was all about Zika. And it's the same mosquitoes that transmit dengue and Zika.
Okay.
And so what we do is we're developing, it's really low cost. We take lemongrass oil, which you can get for $1 for a gallon. We mix it with yeast. And so we make these little capsules.
Okay.
You put that into water where the mosquito larvae live. They eat it, and we actually can kill, in all our tests, we've killed 100% of all the larvae that we tested.
Really? Is that simple?
It's a very simple, low-tech, cheap approach
Yeah.
to controlling the insects.
Wow. So how far are you from commercializing this? How far are you from taking this out to the real world?
Well, we're actually, through the help of STC, we've been pitching it to a couple of private sector companies. We're also looking at again, as I said, the traditional funding mechanisms through NIH and other areas too.
Right.
So we're probably about, if all goes well, I'd say within 6 to 9 months we could have something that may be, testable.
Wow, right at the height of the mosquito season, too.
Exactly.
Can you take that down to the river near my house where all the
Yeah, we
mosquitoes...
I've gotten phone calls from towns in New Mexico saying, can we spray this on our soccer fields and things like that.
Is it a spray thing, or is it,
It
what
will
is
be.
it?
I mean, they're just tiny. It's like yeast. So little tiny yeast cells. You make it in a suspension. You can actually apply it.
Wow.
So we're making it as a powder right now that you can put into water supplies, but it could be sprayed.
And if it's just lemongrass and yeast, it's completely non-toxic to
very
people
green.
and most
Yep.
other animals, right?
Right.
That's our point, because so much right now in parts of the world where this is an issue, South America and Asia with dengue, people actually put pesticides right into water tanks, and that's water that people are drinking, that they use for bathing,
Right.
and literally it's got pesticide in it to kill these mosquito larvae.
Right.
So our goal is to do this with something that is non-toxic
Right.
to the environment and to humans.
If it's got lemongrass, does it even smell nice?
Oh yeah, you'll smell like a Thai restaurant for the rest of the day.
That'd be awesome, actually.
Yes, that's our goal.
That's cool. So, how much money do you need to make this happen, or what's your next steps on this?
Well, it might not take much, between about $200,000 probably to
Oh,
get
nothing,
something.
just $200,000.
Just, in terms of development, testing,
Right.
We want to scale it up,
Right.
that kind of thing.
But then STC has programs that match funds.
We do.
And you guys can help these guys get researchers like Robbie get a lot more funding.
Well,
right?
the important thing is that we get him to people that can help take this to market. And then the university has a co-investment fund now to invest in startup companies along with a lead investor. So that's helped about 10 companies so far.
Very cool. So anybody can go see you pitch on the 26th,
Right.
and like 10 or 12 other companies, right?
Absolutely.
And then, of course, on the 25th, there's a student competition at Bow and Arrow. Certainly be there just for the beer, if nothing else.
Right. It'll be a
And
fun
sounds
evening.
No doubt.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a couple of seconds for Morning Brew.